Eschatology 4, the secret of the Trinity. We come now, in the heart of the mystery. This lesson 4 could be called the Trinity, its secret, the heart of the Trinity. What was revealed from the beginning to Adam and Eve, what was revealed again by Christ, when humanity had forgotten, and what explains everything, our presence on earth but also history, angels, their fall. So let us take up the mystery of the Trinity as we described it in the previous lesson. In the end, God is a perpetual, magnificent gush, containing all the wonders we see in the world, but not yet created. A burst of light, therefore of perfect knowledge, called Verb, in other words the Son, but also of love, of total love, without any limit, and that is the Holy Spirit. This gushing is eternal, it constitutes the life of God. Nothing can be added to God. God is perfect in Himself, perfectly happy, in this light and this love. He does not need anyone. Only, to understand the unique, absolute qualities of this light and this love, we must refer to the revelation of Christ that will come much later. We have no other way to know Him. The love that springs forth in God, and these are two secrets that I am now going to develop. The love that springs into God is so strong, so little selfish, and yet it is God Himself who loves Himself. He is capable of everything, including incarnating and giving His life on the cross, for those He loves. Christ, when He is incarnated, when we look at Christ Himself, we see in a human way, through His humanity, as far as we can see, since it is only a creature, humanity of Christ. Even if it is God who became man, we only see the creature, namely His humanity. Well, as far as it is possible, how much this love in God is total and concretely, it is realized in this way. The Father says to the Son, "You alone counts." The Father lives only for the Son, and we understand it well. A father does not exist. A father exists only if there is a son. Likewise, a son does not exist alone. A son is a pure relationship. We can only be sons because we have a father. So a young man who does not have a child is not a father. He is just a man. Well, in God, this concept of father, this concept of son, and it's the same thing for the Holy Spirit, is totally realized. The Father is only love, a total gift for the Son. So concretely it does not exist in itself, it is the Son who exists. We can say that their love is so great that it is dead to themselves. To reveal this, the Son could have come to earth and simply say, "I became a man, see how much I love you." No, it's not enough. There is a second thing that would not have been revealed and that can finally be summed up in two words. It is the quality of the inner life of God. So the first word, actually. It is love, a total love, even giving one's life, but it is not enough, it is a total love implying a total death to oneself. So the two words would be love and in quotation marks humility. Why in quotation marks humility? Because this word has several meanings. A humble man is a man who is true. For example, if Einstein, who is better than me in physics, said, "No, you are better than me," no, I do not think he would be humble. Einstein, if he is humble, must simply recognize that he is better than me in physics. Humility is the truth. We are in His right place, and if God was humble He would say, "I am the Master and Lord, I created the world," but it would not lower below us, to wash our feet, for example he did it to the apostles just before his death. Saint Pierre besides reproached him. "You shall not wash my feet, you are the Master and Lord." So the Son, when he falls below his condition, he says to man, "You are more important than me." Finally, we see that it is a new quality that has no correspondence. There is no known human virtue where a man would lower himself below what he is, to serve someone inferior to himself. That's why the word in theology, the real word is not humility but it's a Greek word that has been used. It is said that God is love, that there is no problem, the Catholic Church has developed it for centuries, but the second word is that God is kinos, that is to say, lowering oneself, below oneself. The Epistle to the Hebrews says it in a single passage: "He of divine condition did not jealously hold the rank that equaled him to God, but he lowered himself." The fact that he humbled himself by making himself man on earth, for centuries we hesitated to apply it, in the Trinitarian life of God. Saint Thomas Aquinas I think would deny that there can be in God a lowering. He's not wrong. God cannot have a limit in himself. He is infinite Trinity, infinite light and love. Yet we cannot deny it. We cannot go beyond the fact that the Son falls below us even though he came to earth, even going to die on the cross, cannot do anything but reveal in God, and this thing is quite simple. It is that in his Trinitarian relations, the Father says to the Son, "Only you count, and I am nothing." As I said, a father is nothing if he does not have a son. But the Son said to the Father, "Only you count. And I'm nothing." It's true, a son does not exist if he does not have a father. Only in the inner life of the one God is an infinite outpouring of kenosis, of humility, so to speak. And that's the secret. The key to the intimate life of God that can never be changed. Who is God? His Trinitarian life is not only love and light but that it is kenos, lowering people in front of one another. Kenosis so much so that no one could see God face to face without being a little like God, on a created level but a bit like God. If a person who had pride in his heart saw God in his Trinity, face to face, she would be torn off or she would understand nothing. That's impossible. That's the key to everything. It's a bit of a Bible sentence that goes a little unnoticed and that is going to be quite developed by the whole life of Jesus, is that no one can see God face to face, without dying. It is not a question of physical death. We have been there since original sin, but Adam and Eve should not have passed through it, but we will see it in another lesson, but without dying internally, that is, to say, without knowing a kenosis. It's impossible otherwise. A creature of any kind, whether angel or man, whatever creature God could have created elsewhere, no one can see the Trinitarian life without dying. It would understand nothing, she would be torn off even. That God cannot change it. Some will object, but God is almighty. He can do surely. He can show himself without any need to pass to that quality which is called a total humility. Well, no. It's impossible, otherwise God is no longer God. The Trinitarian life would no longer be the Trinitarian life. Lucifer in his revolt, we'll see a little later, think it's possible, that God can change that and we can see God, because we deserve it, simply because we are minds too, and that a spirit can understand a spirit. But never, never says he, it is possible to accept that to see God, it is necessary to be the smallest, and the smallest becomes the greatest because God himself is the smallest in his Trinitarian life. Yet this is the secret, and that, sorry for Lucifer, God will not be able to change it because God is God, in his Trinitarian life. Once this base is given, well, we will see how everything else is deduced. What has happened concretely for us, and eternally, in the universe, is God, who lives his infinite happiness of light and love. This happiness is pure generosity, no selfishness. As a logic of pure generosity, he decides to share it with little creatures. It does not bring him anything, it's free because God does everything for free. At first it cannot bring him anything since he is happy, blessed in himself, he is bliss, he is perfect. It's free. Only, he knows it well, because he is God, we cannot participate in his happiness without choosing him freely. No one can enter the vision of this magnificent Trinitarian life without a free act. One enters as a person since God is a person. So it will be necessary that people are free beings. He will not create them directly in this happiness. They would be people who could be said to be forced to marry God. This is a little analogy. If God directly creates us men in his face-to-face vision of his essence, we would not have had to choose, and it is impossible. It's necessary to choose. It's freedom, God. And secondly, not only does it take that chosen, free love, a little bit like in a marriage, but it is not enough. It is necessary to have a heart, which enters into death to oneself, a heart in kenosis. A man who freely chooses to love God and to see him face to face, therefore to marry him, but who does not have that heart that is completely dead to himself, cannot see him again. There will be preparations. His heart must be ready for it. So we will now see concretely the concrete and the history of angels, how this thing has come true. And then we will see how it was realized for the man.